Hello and welcome to another episode of Get Hooked. It's my video crochet, knitting and reading podcast where I like to share all the things that I make with the two things at the bottom of my arms, my hands. My name is Adel from Hooked on Art, and you can find me as such on Instagram, Facebook, Ravelry and all those lovely places. And then I always forget to mention the date. Today is the 3rd of June 2023. It's a Saturday. The weather is actually amazing considering that we're entering winter now. It's really not too bad out today. And yeah, I hope you have something to drink and I hope you enjoy this time where I get to keep you company and share all the lovely things I've made. So let's jump straight into it. My first finished object is the one that I'm wearing. So this is the flax sweater from Tin Can Knits. I made this using the Himalaya Everyday Tweed and, to my biggest regret, a 4.5mm needles, not a pair of 4.5mm needles. And yeah, this was supposed to be for my fiance, and as I was knitting, doing the raglan increases, I realized that it's not going to fit him because, like I've said in previous episodes, I am quite the rebel knitter and I didn't gauge swatch at all. And obviously I thought, oh, if I just size one up it should be fine. Yeah, that's kind of not how it works. But anyways, I'm very happy with the end result and I'm happy that I can put it to use because it actually does fit me. So yeah, in the previous episode I was here. I just started with the sleeve. I've knit a bit on the sleeve and yeah, I think I'm quite happy with how it came out. I'm not super happy with the fit. I'm going to stand up to show you why. I don't like the hemline. I used Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. Trying saying that 5 times fast. And yeah, it's not my favorite bind off, but that being said, I can still wear it. If I tuck it in, it's very fashionable still, so I'm not complaining because I will still be able to wear it. And yeah, I wore this to work yesterday and not for a second did I feel cold. So it's definitely doing its job. And all of that being said, the mess I made with the sizing, and now it's my jersey and not my fiance's, the bind off, that's just not for me. I'm still very happy with this FO and I will be wearing this quite a bit this winter. So yeah, that's my first finished object and a wearable for the winter. Right, then I made a ton of blankets since the last time we spoke, and if it wasn't a whip, I started it and finished it before this podcast, before this episode, and then I fixed a blanket as well. So all of that's going to count as finished objects. So let me jump straight into it. The first one is the South of the Border blanket by Kate Rowell, and this pattern I actually got in a book, the Quick and Easy Crochet Projects to Brighten Your Home and Wardrobe. So I decided to make a pattern out of a book because I've never done that, and I am very, very, very happy with how this blanket came out. So let's chat about this a bit more. Where is the marker now? Oh yes, here. This is where I was in the previous podcast episode, and I think that was about 1 repeat in, or just under 1 repeat in, and I did all of the rest after that. So I think you only do the repeat 1 to 2.5 times, and then you've got the size of the blanket. Obviously, I mean, if you want to make a bigger blanket, you could do that. I think the pattern's not intricate to the extent where you can't adjust the sizing. You just have to do a little bit of maths if you want to make it wider, but I'm very happy with how this blanket came out. I did say in the previous podcast episode that I'm not going to do the border exactly like in the pattern, and I didn't. So in the book, without giving away too much, there's only one row around for the border, and I didn't do that. I did, oh, there's a little end that I haven't snipped off. Okay, well, I'll do that now. So I did one of my favorite borders, which is just a row of mesh and a row of moss stitch, and I just think it finishes the blanket off for me. Just look, it just brings it all together so nicely. So I am very, very, very happy with how this blanket turned out, and this will be a gift, like I said in my previous episode as well, if you want to go and check that out. This will be a gift for one of Dion, my fiance, one of his colleagues who's expecting a baby, and the baby's coming in July. So yeah, I think it's a beautiful cot blanket, very usable, very breathable, and overall very, very happy with how this turned out. I used Al's Babykins in the color, what's this called, Ducky, the color Ducky, which is just the cutest name for this beautiful subtle yellow color. So yeah, I'm very excited to be gifting this, and I'm thinking that now that this podcast episode's filmed, Dion must just take it to work on Monday, and it's done and it's gifted. So that's the first blanket that I finished. Right, the second one is one that I started at a what was it, one of my friends was hosting a crochet in the park day. I think it is to collect money to clean up the surroundings around Homestead Dam, and we decided to join her for this day. And now you could either do one of the projects that she had, which was a beginner basically class for granny squares, or you could do a little bag. I got the bag pattern, by the way, but I just didn't have the cotton yarn needed for the bag at that point in time, but I'm definitely going to make the bag. I'll chat about that a little bit later once I've started it. So I decided I'm going to work on a personal project. I'll be doing a granny square, and yeah, that escalated very quickly, and now I have a granny square blanket, y'all. Look at this. Okay, please don't judge the way it looks, because it has been used quite a lot since it's finished. I think I finished this last week Sunday. Yeah, last week Sunday or Monday I finished this blanket, and since then, sorry, that's the dogs going a bit crazy. I don't know if you'll be able to hear them. I think so. Anyways, so I finished this and it has been in use. So this is just a little doggy blanket that I made. I don't know, yeah, you can see how full of wear it is. Oh gosh. Okay, so for this one I just used Charity, also from Al. It's a 100-gram skein of yarn, and it's just in 3 colors. There's a red, a dark blue, and a purple. And yeah, I just started in a granny square and kept going until the yarn ran out, and then I would change color and keep going until the yarn ran out, and now we have a little doggy blanket, because we have 2 Labradors and a Husky. So just imagine the amount of shedding that I deal with on a daily basis. That's why this, and I promised I shook this out. I shook this out before I started filming, and it's still just full of hair. So they sleep inside, right? And they have their own beds, but the lab, she likes to lie on top of something. So you either need a pillow or another blanket, and I decided, let me make a blanket for the bed, because one of the beds has a blanket, the other bed only has a pillow on it, and then we put another blanket on the floor. But she doesn't like sleeping just on the floor. She wants to be on a bed, on a pillow, or on a blanket. So I decided to make this little granny square blanket for that purpose. And yeah, it has been put to good use. I've actually seen them taking turns sleeping on this blanket, which is just the cutest thing ever. I'm going to see if I can take a video and then share it on Instagram and Facebook, or just like even a picture of how they use this blanket. But yeah, very, very happy with how this turned out. Like I said, charity yarn. I used the 4.5mm hook, and I just did a granny square, kept going until I was happy with the size. And I basically ran out of yarn as well. So yeah, I did turn every round for this blanket to keep it square, and I find that that actually makes a massive difference. I've never done that in a blanket. I used to just do my squares going in one direction, and then I realized, okay, it does warp a little bit to the side, but nothing that blocking doesn't fix, you know. I used to just block it and then it would be fine. But turning your work really eliminates the amount of warp you get. So I think I'm going to use that in the future. But yeah, very happy with this doggy blanket. I'm going to put this back on the floor. So they sleep in this room, in the craft room. I'm going to put that back on the floor because yeah, there's just hair everywhere. Right, so then I made a personalized blanket, which I don't have with me, right? And I don't know my editing skills yet. So I'm going to see if I can put in a picture for you. If I can't, then I will put a link to the Instagram post I made about that blanket, all right? So back in 2019, I was working at a little private school. Well, let's not call it little, it's a network school. So there are a few around the country. Around South Africa. So I worked at this school, and they had a, what do you call it? It's called the Trailblazers. They called it the Trailblazers, but it's basically like upskilling people to become managers and assistant principals and principals. Okay, and when I applied to be part of the Trailblazer program, I got accepted, and then we had weekly training at the school's head office, which was in Sandton. So all the people from the different schools across the country who were selected for the program would have weekly managerial training at the headquarters, right? So obviously I met a lot of interesting people there, and I met a lady who worked, I think, at the Pretoria or Kempton Park branch. But anyways, we became friends and we started chatting, took each other's numbers and so forth. And then I left that school to go work at a public school, which is the school that I'm at now. But we stayed in touch, and like we follow each other on Facebook and Instagram, and I see that she's still there and she's doing well. And I think it was beginning of last year she contacted me, and I made her a baby blanket, all right? And she was over the, not for her, for a friend of hers, and she was over the moon with this blanket, and her friend was happy with this blanket. So that same friend of hers fell pregnant again with another baby boy, and then obviously she wanted a blanket again, and she wanted lions and then a personalized strip in the blanket with the baby's name on it, and that's exactly what I did. And I am in love with how that blanket came out. I think I was so obsessed that once I got the yarn, I finished the name like in a day. The rest took a little bit longer because then work was coming in the way. I had to work and I couldn't spend time crocheting. Okay, that's what happened. But I really enjoyed making that, so I really hope I can put a picture in to show you. Yeah, and that's the the third blanket that I finished. Right, that blanket I used pure gold in the colors ivory, ochre, a little bit of, I think the color is called chestnut. There's a brownie color in there, then terracotta, and you'll see what I mean if I put the picture in, or if I put the link in for you to go and see why it's such an amazing and adorable blanket. I used the lady Repeat Crafter Me. She has a blog, and I think she has a, I don't know if she has a YouTube channel. But anyways, I always forget to say this as well. All the projects that I speak about will have links in the description, okay? So I'll put that link there as well. So for this year, she's running a crochet along on her blog where you make little animal squares. And they are, every single one of these animal squares so far is just absolutely adorable. Alright, and then the third animal square was a little lion, and I adapted the pattern slightly because I wanted the blocks to be a little bit bigger. So I adapted the lion pattern to make this personalized blanket, and it was just adorable. Alright, so that's the fourth FO. The fifth one goes hand in hand with this personalized blanket I made. The lady that ordered the blanket for her friend wanted a little rattle as well. So I made a little lion amigurumi rattle. And it's just adorable. I really love making those. And it's completely functional rattle. It has a wooden handle and tether ring, so it's multi-purpose. And then it has a shaker in. So when you shake it, the rattle actually works. So yeah, fingers crossed that my editing skills work out and I can add it in here because you need to see that. So yeah, sorry, my back is very itchy. I do not know why. But yeah, I didn't use a pattern for the rattle. I drew inspiration from the blanket that I made to make a little lion rattle, and it just worked out beautifully. Right, then the next finished object is my hooked on granny's blanket. I hate this blanket. And I'm going to tell you why. So after I've shown you, just look at the beauty and then judge me for hating something that is so beautiful. It's fine, go ahead. Whoopsie. Just look at it. I mean, these squares, they are so unique and so different and so beautiful, but I hate them. Right, so this was supposed to be a throw for a queen or king size bed. It is no longer that. I think this will fit on a double bed, which is fine right now because I'm going to give this to my mom. Her birthday is later on in June. So, and I know that she would appreciate this, and it would be a statement in any home, let's be honest. So even if you just drape it over a chair in your house or a couch in your house, it would definitely be a statement piece, but I'm not built for intricate designs like this. I think I've done a little bit of soul searching, and I've got the self-awareness to realize that I do not like intricate crochet patterns. Right, that being said, I have done a few, and I wrote a blog post about this as well, where the same designer, Vanessa from Hooked on Sunshine, and don't get me wrong, it's not to do with her patterns. Like you can see, this is gorgeous. This is stunning, and you need some serious brain power and serious creativity to do something like this, and it just works, and it is gorgeous, and I'm in constant awe of all the projects I see people making with her patterns, but it's just not for me. I've come to realize that crocheting for me should be mindless. I should pick up a project, sit in front of the TV or sit outside and just go. I shouldn't be concentrating on stitch counts and pattern counts and intricacies, like do 3 of these stitches here, then 5 of these, then 3 of these, then 2 of these. Like I said, do not get me wrong, I have the utmost respect for people that design patterns like that. I have the utmost respect for crocheters that crochet patterns like that. And I will always be in awe of it, because it just goes to show how far you can take this craft and how ridiculously creative you can get and how limitless this craft actually is. It's just not for me. It's just not for me. I'm a mindless crocheter because I enjoy the muscle memory stitches, the ones that you don't have to think about, the ones that you can just pick up and go. You don't have to worry about, shucks, what row am I on, how many stitches should I have? Yeah, those just don't do it for me, and that's okay. That is okay. It's not a failure, it's a self-realization. And yeah, regardless of all of that, I'm still in love with the end result of this. So in the pattern, you should actually crochet 16 different blocks, and I think you should make 2 or 3 of each, like in the actual pattern, the actual Hooked on Granny's pattern. You end up with a gorgeous blanket of these different squares just laid out differently, and it just works. Okay, here's the other thing. This pattern is designed to make use of different colors as well, and it just blows my mind how creative you could get with this craft again. But yeah, all that being said, I didn't do the border as per the pattern either. I stuck to my roots. I did a normal mesh row and a row of moss, and I love it. The simplicity in the border brings me joy, and that's what crocheting is all about. That's what knitting is all about. That's what any handmade craft should be about. It should bring you joy. If you're not enjoying it, frog it. And I made an Instagram post on this as well, where I had 3 designs in my head. I started with it, wasn't working the way I wanted it, like I visualized it. The picture in my head was not what I was creating, and that took away the joy. I frogged it. Guys, it should be that simple. Okay, life is too short for hating your craft, for cold coffee, and for saying no to a slice of cake, right? So if it's not bringing you joy, and if it's not making you happy, frog it. Okay, I didn't want to frog this because I wanted to push through, and I didn't. So I only made 10 of the blocks, well 11, and I joined 10 of them to make a 2x5 throw, which will look beautiful over a double bed or a couch or a chair, and it is what it is. And I know my mom's going to appreciate it. I used Al's 4-ply cottons for this in the color natural, and yeah, like I said, it would be a statement piece in any home. It will be classic and timeless because of the color, and I think I'm more relieved that it's done than anything else. Right, so the last block, I'm going to block this one out, maybe steam block it. I'm not too sure yet because it's cotton. I think it needs a steam block. If you have any tips or suggestions on how to block cotton, natural cotton, because this one is, it's not a mercerized cotton. Hold on, I have a pack here. Okay, it doesn't say, but I do not think that that's a mercerized cotton, the natural. So a steam block should be fine. Okay, so I want to steam block this to make a little pot holder to go in the kitchen, because I cannot frog that. Like, it's too beautiful to frog. It's too beautiful to frog. So I'm going to put it to good use. The one other thing that really bothered me about this pattern is the amount of puff stitches. Guys, there are 2 types of crocheters. Those who like to puff stitch and those who do not like to puff stitch. I fall into the category of the ones who do not like to puff stitch. Okay, puff stitches are the bane of my existence. And in the past, I would avoid a pattern if it had any puff stitches in it. But I thought, okay, I bought this pattern back in 2020. So let me push through and get it done. Yeah, it was not fun. And it won't happen again. Right. Then the last one is not so much a finished object than a restorative project, and it's this beast of a blanket. Alright, look at it. I'm not going to open it because I'm not going to be able to fold it now, and it's just huge, massive, heavy, but amazing. Right, so back in 2020, when I was really getting into crochet, lockdown hit, and then my entire family wanted blankets. And silly little old me said, yes, sure, I'll make the blankets. And I did, and I enjoyed it. However, I'll show you these blocks. These ones. I used magic rings to start these blocks, okay? And I was very lazy to sew back the ends properly, alright? Because what I've gathered from research is that if you sew the ends away properly and you weave them back and forth properly, they do not unravel when you wash the blanket, okay? I didn't know that back then, and I was probably too lazy to do it properly back then. Anyways, I made this blanket for my father. Right, it is a queen size spread, and he uses it quite a lot in the winter. It's always on their bed when I go to visit in the winter, so it's getting good use out of it. However, these stupid little blocks started unraveling. Alright, and now my dad's mom, my gran, was an avid crocheter and knitter, so he knew what goes into making these, and he didn't want to, oh, it's broken, I don't want to use it anymore, let's chuck it away. So he asked me when I went to visit the ones, can you take it back and just fix it? Luckily, I know how to fix these. I did share a tutorial on Instagram on how to fix it as well, but honestly, it was the bane of my existence for a week, because it sat on the dining room table and I just kept staring at it because it was so big, and I didn't feel like fixing all of these blocks. And there were probably about, I'm not even joking, probably about 15 of these squares that were unraveling. But I fixed them all, and now I'm taking it back tomorrow so that he can have a nice warm blanket for the rest of the winter. Okay, and that's it for FOs. I'm being naughty and I'm having Coke as a drink today. So let's jump straight into whips. The first whip is one that you have seen quite often now, but it is still an exciting one. And it is a real easy raglan from Maker Store. I'm lying when I say it's Maker Store. Let me correct myself. So Maker Store is the, sorry, let me just get to the right page now. Sorry for that squeak. So they published the pattern, but it wasn't designed by Maker Store. It was designed by Emily Bolden. Alright, so let me just correct myself. The Adel. The Real Easy Raglan is a sweater by Emily Golden. However, Maker Store published it, right? It's a free pattern on Ravelry. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I'm making it in the most amazing self-striping yarn. Let's have a look. Right, so there's the front. There's the back. I did add short row shaping, and you can see that, and I'm in love with the fit of this so far. I really love the pop of blue at the neckline. I just think it makes the sweater a little bit different. So yeah, in the previous episode I was down here, and this is a stitch marker from Etsy Klein, Gertruida, and she's just amazing with these polymer clay stitch markers, and they are just lovely. So I was down there, I finished the rest of the body, I did the hemline ribbing. Very happy with how this came out. Let me just show you the difference. So for this I didn't use Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. I just did a normal bind off in pattern, so knit purl pattern. It's still stretchy enough, but I don't feel like it does what the flax sweater is doing. But nonetheless, both of these sweaters will get much wear out of them. Right, then I'm on Sleeve Island, people. I'm so excited. I'm doing the sleeves on 9-inch circulars, but what I've noticed, they're the same size as the needles that I did the body with. My tension seems a little bit tighter. I don't know if you can see, but this right here looks a lot tighter than this there. So I don't know if it's going to relax once it's off the needles. But yeah, I'm quite happy with this. I'm quite happy with the yarn. I'm happy with how it's coming together, and I'm excited to get this all done. Right, so the yarn I'm using, I'll explain now why it looks like this. Right, is Color Crush from Al Yarns, and this is the colorway Whatever Floats Your Goat. It's one of their new colorways, and it's a self-striping yarn. Okay, I did say in the previous podcast episode that there aren't any, like, there's no jog when the color changes, and the stripes are just pretty seamless, and the colors are really cool. I really like this blue and orange. It's going to be stunning when it's done. Right, so why do I have 2 balls of this? Because of the sleeves. Alright, so if you can see, let me do the one that's not there yet. When I split for the sleeves, I just started on this dark blue color. Right, and I thought, let me do a little bit of color control to make sure that the sleeves carry on in the dark blue color. Right, then obviously the colors after that won't matter. So what I did, this ball was inside of this one. I just got to the color and pulled it apart. Right, so one sleeve will be worked from the inside of the yarn cake, and I'm just going to keep going from the inside. The color changes will happen and it's going to look cute. And then the other sleeve, I'm going to start from the outside of this ball, which was the inside of the other ball, and I'll obviously join on the dark blue as well, and then just keep going. So I think I might end up with 2 different sleeves. Obviously the stripe width would be more as well, but yeah, I think it's going to look cute, and I'm quite excited for this to come together. So let me move the stitch marker. I'm on Sleeve Island. Honestly, don't mind Sleeve Island, to be honest. It's very mindless. You just knit until you're done. Oh, and then I should mention that for this, the sleeves, I'm going to do it the same as the flax. I'm not going to decrease, because I know the pattern suggests that you decrease after a certain length has been reached, and then you knit a little bit again, then you decrease, knit, decrease to get a more fitted sleeve. Excuse me. But I don't want any of that. I like, you can see here, I like the straight down sleeve. I'll do a rapid decrease, and then I'll work the cuff. I'm going to do the exact same with this garment as well. I'm going to keep knitting without decreasing, a rapid decrease to make the cuff, because I just like the fit of that a little bit more. So yeah, that's coming along nicely, very mindless, and it brings me joy, and I think that is what is most important. Right, and this is kept in a little, whoopsie, oh man, sorry, little project bag that says I'd rather be crocheting. Ironic, because I have a knitting project in here. Anyhow, I find myself reaching for this at night after gym, just working on it mindlessly. It's a lot of fun. Right, the second whip is an exciting one. So very fancy, very fancy project bag. It's my R6 Woolies bag, but it works. So in here is my Sophie shawl by Petite Knit, and just look at this. Don't want to lose the stitches now. So I've made some really good progress on this one. In the previous episode we were there. Yeah, I just did a few rows in the previous episode, so now quite a bit of knitting on this one. So I see that I knit on this one in the car when I'm playing Passenger Princess and Dion's driving. I like to knit on this because it's also pretty mindless. You just keep going, a few increases, and I think I'm actually, yeah, I'm at the point, I think I have 1 or 2 more repeats left, and then I'm going to start decreasing. And yeah, I'm very happy with how the fabric is turning out. I'm using a new yarn base and a new yarn color from Al Yarns. It's called Rodeo. And this is a chunky yarn base. This one is an 85% acrylic, 10% wool and 5% viscose blend. I do speak about where I got this yarn in my previous podcast episode, but yeah, I'm really enjoying how this is working out. Sorry if you can hear my dogs again. They go a little bit crazy. I'm just super happy with how this is turning out. I'm very excited to wear it once it's done. Right, then the next whip, housed in my Knapsack crochet retreat bag. I do speak about this in my previous episode as well. Although this yarn shop did close down at the end of May, guys. It's so sad, but hey, such is life. I mean, you win some, you lose some. What can you do? Alright, so this is a very exciting whip because it's another blanket. And it's a very plain blanket. Look at this. That would be the back for me. That's the back of the blanket. Here's the front. Here's a stitch marker from Itsy Klein from Trader. Oopsie, oopsie, wrong way. Come on. Guys. There we go. Hope you can see that. So this is just a very plain block stitch blanket. I'm making it in pure gold from Al Yarns. It's one of my favorite bases of yarn, to be honest. It's an acrylic, and I'm no one to judge people who use acrylic, because in this current economic climate, like if you want to craft and you can't afford the fancy yarns, don't use the fancy yarns. It is as simple as that. The craft should be about having fun, making things with your hands, practicing skills, and when you're in a fortunate enough position to use the merinos, the cottons, then you do that. If you're still using acrylics, go for it. Why not? So this is, the main color is called Ivory, and then the accent color is a green color called Military, and I just love how these two colors work up together. Right, this is what the yarn ball looks like, because this is one of the things that I frogged end of last week, and I started this end of last week, and yeah, I'm just in love. Okay, so I'm leaving all the ends because I think I want to keep the fringe. I actually like the effect of that. So just imagine this being a nice and long little lap blanket with the fringe hanging down the sides. I think it's just going to be perfect. So therefore I'm just going to leave the yarn ends. I'll obviously cut them all to the same length, but at this point in time I'm very happy, and this mindless crochet project is bringing me a lot of joy. This will just be for our living room because it is freezing in there at night. When we're watching TV after gym, we can grab for this blanket to keep us nice and toasty. So yeah, very, very happy with how this one is coming together. Righty. Then my last whip is one of my most exciting whips. And look at this cute project bag, you guys. I have a little key ring there as well. So I won this on the 2021 crochet retreat, and it's just so cute. It's the perfect little project bag for socks. So guess what is in here? Socks. Okay. So I'm making the Rhinebeck Roomies from the Crazy Sock Lady, Kay Linton. I think that's her surname. Kay from the Crazy Sock Lady, alright? So she is hosting the summer sock camp, because obviously she's in America. For me it's the winter sock camp, but nonetheless I'm having fun. And this pattern, guys, it's so addictive, okay? Summer sock camp started on the 26th of May, which was last week Friday. And just look at, now bear in mind I'm a slow knitter, and just look at the progress that I've made on the sock. Just look at it. I love it. I love the pattern, I love the yarn, and I'm having fun, which is a tick, and a tick. Alright, so I'm making this in Knotty Habits Kaiso yarn, and this particular color or sock set, look at the heel, it's so pretty, was part of the Q1 sock club box. Sorry, that's a mouthful. And I bought this end of last year because I knew I'm partaking in summer sock camp again this year, so I need to have the yarn ready, and I'm gonna make a pair for Dion, and that's exactly what's happening. So this is just a normal 2x2 rib as per the pattern. The pattern repeats as per the pattern, and then I'm doing a slip stitch, heel flap, heel turn, and gusset. And yeah, I'm knitting on the foot now, just going to keep going. The toes will be the same color as the heel, and yeah, I'm just in love. I love this. So this is my on the go project. I take this project to work, so whenever I have a break or a free minute somewhere, I knit on these socks. And yeah, it's safe to say that I've had quite a bit of free time this week since exams started. Well, up until yesterday, because yesterday I got 5 packs of marking. But yeah, they're flying off of my needles. I'm using the Adel Sock and Wonder 9-inch circulars for this pattern. It's just my favorite sock needle to work on. I'm going to show you why. The one needle is longer than the other one, which just makes the grip on it a little bit nicer and more comfortable. So yeah, I really enjoy making these socks, and I'm having a lot of fun. I'll probably finish the first sock this week, and then obviously I'm going to cast on the second sock, and when the second sock's done, I'm going to make myself a pair of Rhinebeck roomies because I just love the pattern so much. And yeah, that's all for whips. That's all I have for whips today. Let's move on to what am I reading. Okay, so for those of you who don't know or don't follow me on Instagram, I am a major crime fan, fictional or non-fictional. I know that sounds horrible. I'm a non-fiction crime fan. I like when people kill each other. That is what it basically means, right? So I do. I watched, what is that show called now? Oh, Love and Death. I watched Love and Death on Showmax, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. The acting was brilliant, the storyline, I mean, not brilliant because it happened in real life, but the way they displayed it was brilliant. Okay, so my next book is a fictional crime story at least, and it is The Night Stalker from Chris Carter. Right, my bookmark here is one of my own designs, and I have this as a free pattern in my Ravelry store, which I will link down below. Let me not forget to say that. But anywho, Chris Carter is a former, he worked in, I don't want to lie to you, I think he worked in LA, in Los Angeles, no, where is it? Oh no, in Michigan. He was a Michigan State District Attorney's criminal psychologist. Okay, so that's quite the position to hold, and I think you see a lot of crazy messed up stuff. Okay, so he now is an author, a #1 bestseller, right? And this, guys, is so addictive, and it was probably a mistake starting this book this morning due to the fact that I have reading coming in. Leon, sorry, my fiance just walked in here, and I know I'm interrupting myself, but just look at what he gave me. Look at this, guys. It comes from his aunt. It's a bag full of knitting needles, and he says there might be some crochet hooks in here as well. There's a pin. Oh my word. Okay, I'm gonna have to go through this, but just look at that. So this is the same aunt that saves patterns and gives it to me. And look at how cute is this bag, y'all. I'm a happy little girl now. I'm gonna stop filming so that I can go through this when we get this done. Okay, so back to what I'm reading. This is The Night Stalker. It's the 3rd series in the Robert Hunter thriller series. I think 3rd series, wow. It is the third book in the Robert Hunter series. My dogs again. I really hope you can't hear that because they go a bit crazy. So it's the third book in the Robert Hunter series. So Robert Hunter is this detective that we follow on severe homicide cases. He works in the severe homicide division for ultra violence cases, and the imagery that Chris Carter uses to describe these deaths and these murders and these serial killers, and just the way that Robert or Detective Hunter goes around chasing them, is insane. Like, every single chapter ends on a cliffhanger and you literally cannot put this down. So I started reading this morning, and after the first chapter I was like, no, I can't stop now. I read chapter 2 and I'm like, I can't stop now. And then Dad was like, go get in the shower, we have things to do today. And that's the only reason I'm not reading right now, is because we have things to do today. But yeah, I'm going to read the blurb just so that you can see what you're putting yourself into if you read any Chris Carter books. An unidentified body, its mouth carefully stitched shut, is discovered laid out on a slab in an abandoned butcher's shop. When the full autopsy gets underway at the Los Angeles County morgue, the true horror of the situation is revealed. A discovery so devastating that Detective Robert Hunter of the Los Angeles Homicide Special Section has to be pulled off a different case to take over the investigation. Soon, Hunter finds himself on the hunt for a murderer with a warped obsession, a stalker for whom love has become hate. Isn't that just gripping? So that's just the blurb. The entire book is like that, suspenseful, and you literally cannot guess who the killer is until the last few chapters. I read the first 2 books in the series as well, The Crucifix Killer and The Executioner. Those 2 books were the first 2 books in the series, and I literally could not put them down. So the reason I'm saying I started this is at a bad time is because I've got marking to do. And I have to do the marking, not read, because I'll be procrastinating, reading until whatever hours of the morning, and then I'm not going to be full of energy to do the marking. But yeah, we'll sort that out when we get there. We'll get it done. Let's just put it that way. I'll get the marking done, right, with Chris Carter on my side. But yeah, I really enjoy this. I hope they never, ever turn this into a series. Like a live action series. I do not think we need that in the world, because Detective Robert Hunter is created in my mind, and every single person that reads this creates an image of Detective Robert Hunter, and I don't think we need an actor cast to destroy the picture that we've created for ourselves. The other thing as well is I would not recommend this book if you are sensitive to rape, if you are sensitive to self-harm, if you are sensitive to blood and gore, and because the imagery that he creates is really wild. You do not understand. So age warning, any trigger warning that you can think of is applicable to any of his books. But yeah, I'm not, so I love reading stories like this. And then you also have to keep in mind that it is completely fictionalized. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. So that's all that we have today. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Stay hooked. Bye.